this is test 15, and some of y'all, you have the other tests on there. We're trying to get you through with all these tests here, and I don't walk my way through all of these, but I want you guys to I want you to be through with everything, and that includes your worksheets too. You know, if you got your clipboard, you got your worksheets out there, you need to be punching your way through those worksheets and all, and also your electude. Now, I guess you got that little email I sent where I said this is not neglectude, it's electude, right? You got that? And you know what I noticed after I sent that? Everybody continued to neglect it. You know?
I got on.
Yeah.
I got on. It don't work. Just shut down.
Yeah.
My computer don't work. I mean, it don't work at home on my computer, and then it halfway work up here.
I got to do it in a simulator, and then all the noise you could hear it still, but the computer shut off.
Yeah.
So I can still hear the noise of the car.
You can hear the noise of the car, but the computer shut off. Huh? So your computer went dark and everything. Anyway, you know, you guys need to work on that too. All right, now what part is clamped between the pressure plate and the flywheel on a manual transmission vehicle? You said, what did you just say?
Clutch disc.
Clutch disc, and that's the part with the lining on it. It's got lining that's very similar to brake lining, and all that. And let's see, you got that one over there. Okay, the driving gear has 15 teeth, and the driven gear has 29 teeth. Technician A says the output gear will be going faster than the input gear. Technician B says the ratio is 3.86 to 1. Which technician is correct?
B.
All right, think about it now. The driving gear is 15 teeth. The driven gear has 29 teeth. Is that going to be 3.86 to 1?
Well, no, the 15 will be faster than 29.
But how much faster? Is it going to be 3.8 times faster? Do the math. How many times 15 going to 29?
Well, 1 point.
Close. Yeah, right. So that you know, technician B is obviously not right. Will the output gear be going faster? Have you ever had a 10-speed bicycle?
Mm-hmm.
Which gear is going to be spinning faster? The smaller gear or the bigger gear?
Well, the smaller, obviously.
The smaller gear is always going to be turning faster. So that one's going to be a D in it. Y'all can figure that out, can you? Which part is splined to the clutch disc? Cluster shaft, counter shaft, main gear, or input shaft?
Counter shaft?
Now wait a minute, your clutch disc is the engine is spinning your clutch disc.
So it's your main gear.
So look at all four of those answers now, and don't be a dum-dum. You know what I mean? Input shaft, there you go. That wasn't too hard, was it? Okay. Which type lubricant is not used in manual transmissions? A, automatic transmission fluid. B, SAE 80W90. C, high temperature chassis grease. Or D, engine oil.
SAE 80W. No S.
Is it automatic transmission fluid?
You know you're not going to pump your transmission full of chassis grease. Come on, man. Some of them take automatic transmission fluid. Some of them take engine oil, 50 weight motor oil, and some of them take 80W90 gear lube. Now we'll tell you this.
I thought SAE was standard automatic.
Yeah, you put automatic transmission fluid in some standard transmissions. I don't really like that particularly. Some tractor transmissions have automatic transmission fluid in it. And I'm talking about manual transmission. All right, which type of, the name most often used to describe the universal joints on a conventional rear-wheel drive vehicle drive shaft are, is that trunnion, CV, cardan, or spider?
Spider?
CV. Seriously? You know, those are cardan U-joints, and those are the ones that are like the cross, you know. And the reason they call those the constant velocity joints are the ones that are like on the, I had a bunch of those in here the other day. But anyway, those constant velocity joints, which are, you know, kind of made like this right here, those are the ones, the reason they call them constant velocity joints, and this is the center of one of them without the balls in there, is because whenever you turn it really sharp, it still keeps turning at the same speed. But if you turn one of those cardan crisscross U-joints too far, it gets slower and faster, slower and faster. You know, like on a wiggler, on a wiggle socket, on an extension, when you're turning it, if you bend it too far, it goes, you know, it makes all that. You don't want that. on something you're going to be turning real sharp. Although some four-wheel drive trucks used to have those cardan U-joints that were by the wheels, but if you turn them too fast, you know, you'd feel things going on, or turn them too far. Which type system uses one-speed transfer case and a center differential with a viscous coupling? The closest thing I can show you about a viscous coupling is this. This is like a viscous coupling. This is a fan clutch. And a viscous coupling has basically got some resistance, but it will transmit motion. And so why would you need a viscous coupling? You know, you guys ever done any four-wheel driving? You ever done any four-wheel drive? You know, you got to have it. You can't use four-wheel drive on a regular truck like the Bronco or whatever. You got to be on gravel or mud or something. If you put it on this hard pavement, you get driveline wind up and it tries to stop. So you got to be able to have it where the tires can break loose and spin things and all. But if you're going to have full-time four-wheel drive, yeah, that one right there on number 6 is going to be C. That's going to be all-wheel drive. Those vehicles.
All-wheel, four-wheel.
All-wheel drive is basically it's always driving the wheel, all the wheels all the time. So it's going to be all-wheel drive on that one. Yeah. Now you can have full-time four-wheel drive would kind of be, you know, the same deal. But all-wheel drive is the one that most typically uses that. Now full-time four-wheel drive is going to have to use it too. That is really a poorly written question, and I'm glad I can say that I didn't write that. I don't know if Jim Halderman wrote that question or not, but I'll have to talk to him about that. Okay, what's the purpose of a differential? What's the purpose of a differential? Anybody know what the purpose of a differential is?
Same direction of engine torque. So I know it's A.
Please, you're making it up as you go. All right.
It's C then.
You know, whenever you're going around a curve, whenever the wheel on the outside needs to roll faster than the one on the inside because it's making a bigger circle. Got it? So you're going to have those gears in the middle. You know how when you get it up on the left and it's in park, when you turn one wheel and the other wheel turns the opposite direction? Those gears cause that. But that's only when the drive shaft can't move. But whenever you're just driving straight down the road, those little gears in the middle of that differential, they're not even reacting with each other than just to cause a, you know, straight. But as soon as you start to turn, they begin to work. See what I'm saying? That's another reason you don't want to put the donut spare on the drive axle if you can help it, because whenever you've got a little bitty wheel on one side and a normal size wheel on the other side, those differential gears are just grinding away in the middle of that thing. And you can destroy, on something like a Honda car or one of those, if you put a little donut on the, you know, like on the front, if it's front wheel drive, you put that little donut on one side. What you're supposed to do is put the donut on the back and then put the back tire on the front, which you've got to change 2 tires. Does the word stupid come to mind? Why they put a donut in there is they don't want that much weight in the car. They don't want to have to take up a lot of room in the trunk. But some of the Cadillacs have got a tire that's the right size. Even though it's a thinner tire as the donut, it's the same size as the one on those opposite side of the car. And if it's not the same size as the one on the opposite side, you better be not putting that thing on the drive axle, whether it's on the front. Whichever wheels are driving the car, it's best not to do that. Now, if it's all-wheel drive, you're on your own. Okay. The typical automatic transmission includes, now the B was the answer to 7. The typical automatic transmission includes A, torque converter, B, planetary gear set, C, clutches or bands, D, all of the above. We're going to be in automatic transmissions this summer, so you better know these answers, okay? You got that? Clutches, bands, planetary gear sets, torque converter, got all that stuff in there. Which part takes the place of the clutch in an automatic transmission? What's between the engine and the transmission in an automatic transmission car? Torque converter. There you go. Did you say that as a mumbling answer or something? You didn't put a lot of energy into that answer, did you? All right. So, what does the T mean in the designation 41TE? 41TE. That's going to be transverse. Like on a 4L60E. E is electronic. This is the torque rating. This is the 4-speed. And L means linear, which means the transmission's in there lined up like that. And that's not true on every transmission. You can't always track those. Sometimes they'll have, you know, screwed up numbers on there, like 4R70W. I mean, that usually means it's a 4-speed. What in the sound mills R70, but it's a torque rating, and W, what the heck is that? You know what I mean? You know that? Yeah, RE401, like on the Nissans and all that, you know. The add mark on an automatic transmission dipstick means what? Half a quart. Remember, on an automatic transmission, that low mark is half a quart. It's not 1 quart, it's not 2 quarts. On a Power Stroke diesel 7.3 liter, it's 2 quarts. On an engine, it's 1 quart. But on an automatic transmission, it's just half a quart. If you overfill an automatic transmission, you can have issues. Because it can whip it up into a foam. It can also cause it to puke out of there. Or if it's one of them little 3T40Es, it'll make it run like the catalytic converter is stopped up if you overfill it with fluid.
The transmissions have, engine is 1, and
Power Stroke diesel, you know the big 7.3 Power Stroke diesels, the older ones? That's 2 quarts low, because they hold 15 quarts whole. You know. And so, even the most efficient torque converter has a slippage rate of what?
I think I've been seeing 3s.
Let's go with 8 to 12% on that. And we'll talk more about torque converters next time, but you know, lockup torque converter basically couples the engine directly to the turbine shaft on the transmission, except there are modulated torque converters that go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then up to 100%. And they actually have a controlled slip. And whenever, on some of these vehicles, whenever those the friction modifiers, you know, that stinky stuff I had you smell of. I got this friction modifier and I put it up to my nose and I smelled it. And said, "Ooh, that is so good!" And I handed it to her, and she was like, and she's smelling that when she went to bed at night, you know. So it's just terrible. But I poured some Mr. Pibb in the shop foreman's coffee one time. Whenever he wasn't looking, I was drinking a Mr. Pibb and I poured some in his coffee. When he wasn't looking, he poured that. He tossed that coffee off. And they come back the next day, he said, "I get you, sucker. I was tasting that when I went to bed last night." Pour that Pibb in my coffee. He had it rewound and figured out who was drinking a Pibb when he was, it's pretty sharp, you know. But anyhow, let's see. Torque converters use a stator as a driven member, a reaction member, a pump regulator, or a drive member. That's number 13. That is actually a reaction member. In a torque converter, you've got a turbine, you got an impeller, and in between those you got a stator. Right? I got a torque converter took apart over there, and I'm going to show you that next semester. But the part that's connected to the, you know, the turbine is actually the part that's connected to the transmission input shaft on an automatic transmission. The impeller is the part that's built into the part that the engine is spinning. Okay, so the fluid on that turbine, if you take a torque converter part over and look, it looks like you're looking at parts of a jet engine. I mean, it really does. But it's grabbing that fluid and the impeller is throwing that fluid against the impeller and it's turning the input shaft. Well, the stator is in between there and it's got a one-way clutch in the middle of it, and it redirects that fluid to multiply the torque. So when that stator goes bad, you know, you do a stall speed test. If the stall speed's low and the engine's not underpowered, you got a bad stator. Or a bad, you know, one-way clutch in your stator. We'll talk more about that next semester. Don't get too hung up on it right now. Technician A says the torque converter impeller is attached to the engine. There you go. Turns as the engine rotates. Technician B says the torque converter turbine is attached to the engine and turns as the engine rotates. Which technician is correct? What do you think about that? That's A. Why not look at a vehicle to purchase it while it's raining? A, the rain will wash away the paint. B, the rain will cause starting problems. C, the wet paint can hide fading or paint differences, or D, any of the above. That's going to be C. Whenever it's wet, it's going to look shiny. You drive it, you say, "Buy this car." Man, I love this car. You drive it, you love it, you buy it. And when it dries off the next day, you say, "Oh crap, I didn't even see that the clear coat was fading here." You know, you wind up like, you know. Why drive next to a building or a wall during a test drive? Hear noises from the vehicle, to see the vehicle reflection in the windows, to check for a bad radio antenna, or both B and C. It's actually going to be A. And you'll notice when you're driving along and your car is making a clickety-clack noise that you couldn't hear until you went next to the drive-through. That's what you're doing that for. So if you can drive it next to a wall somewhere, and it's sometimes difficult to find a wall to drive it next to, you may hear something that you couldn't hear. See, the customer may not hear it until they're driving next to a wall. And you get out here driving on the road, you ain't heard a dadgum thing. But when you pull up next to a wall, the sound is bouncing back. You've heard that, haven't you? Okay. Noah don't miss much. He don't talk much, but he don't miss much. You know what I'm saying? Like that. If you throw something at Noah, he catches it like a ninja. That's what he does. Ain't it right? Facts and figures. What if I told you that a student came in the other day and said the biggest fish they caught at the pond was 2 pounds and 25 ounces? Is there a problem with that? Think about what I just told you. I might have to do another session in here on weights and measures, aren't I? Okay. Never mind that. 2 pounds and 25 ounces. How many ounces are in a pound?
Can't quite remember.
16. Remember that? You know? What gets me is, I asked a lot of, you're not by yourself, I asked everybody else in here, and I don't know, did you get that or what?
Yeah, everybody's reaction.
We're all together.
Yeah,
You're all together to do
that's
it?
a small, when you think, like, I registered in my head, like, that's small fish. I didn't even think about this.
Yeah, well,
25
everybody
ounces.
hears 2 pounds, but they don't hear the 25 ounces.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I asked some grown-ups out here that were just completely, you know, my age or whatever, and they'd say, well, that's not a very big fish. And I'm thinking, really? Seriously? You know? So let me say this again, 2 pounds and 25 ounces. Yeah, what's going on down at the pond anyway? Never mind.
That's how I was. I was like, the biggest fish I caught.
I was just stunned, you know, whenever Alan came in here and said that the other day. I said, say that again? And he said, okay. But you know, whenever I told Snap, he busted out laughing before I even got it out of my mouth good. He goes, ah, you know, he thought that was so funny. All right, that's like saying I'm 6 foot 12 inches tall. Really?
I would have caught that.
I'm 6 foot 13, you know, or something. All right, that's terrible. All right, one of the time I was in here and I was talking to these the students, and I said, okay, there's how many feet are there in a mile? There's 5,280 feet in a mile. Somebody must have watched my board with 419 or something. 5,280 feet in a mile. I have a little gal in here that's pretty sharp, and I said, if I've got a tire that's 10 feet around, how many times does that tire roll and it goes a mile? And I had people getting out their phones to use the calculator.
So that's 528.
Yeah. You know? And so when they started getting their calculators out, she said 528, and they just turned red and put their calculator away. Think about it, all you do is take the zero off, man. Come on.
Wow.
Now, it wasn't a screwball thing like 12 foot or something like that. You just take the zero off the end, you know? But that's like saying 1 millimeter is the same as 40 thousandths of an inch. And so 25 hundredths of a millimeter is how many thousandths of an inch. Well, if you take a millimeter and break it into 4, you take that and break it into 4, you wind up with 10,000. You got it? And the whole gaggle of students in here, when I asked that, they were scratching their heads and, you know, going wacky and trying to figure it out and all that kind of stuff. But Gene Taylor come walking through here, and he had never heard me ask this question before. He told me the answer in 10 seconds. You know,
I can do like stuff like
yeah,
that.
you can do something like that, can't you?
But that's if I'm like, if I know you give me a pop quiz, I think about it.
Yeah.
Like he was like, all right, I'm gonna quiz you real quick.
Yeah. 1,760 yards in a mile, 5,280 feet. How far is it from the Earth to the Sun? Y'all didn't take science in school? What's up with that?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, why do you need to know that for all mechanics? You know? Benjamin Franklin said you need to be a jack of all trades and a master of one. One, not none, one. Okay, so everybody misquotes that. Most people don't know who said it. All that sort of stuff. A lot of people don't even know when the Civil War was fought or who was fighting or what they was fighting about. And they'll think the War of 1812, you know, was fought in 1902 or something, you know. All right, so.
War of 1812. When was the war?
Actually, part of it was fought in 18, anyway, the long and the short of it is there's a heck of a lot. So you got 5,280 feet in a mile, 1,760 yards in a mile, and how many yards are there in a rod?
How big is the rod?
5.5 yards.
I don't remember.
You know what I'm saying? Well, 3 feet in a yard,
Yeah.
right? 36 inches, 39.37 inches in a meter, but you're not really doing that. So how many millimeters are in a meter?
And 1,000.
1,000 millimeters in a meter. That's easy to remember because it's a metric system, right? How many grams are there in a liter?
100.
1,000.
1,000 grams.
Yeah, that's a you know, kilogram, which is 2.2 pounds.
Yeah.
A paper clip. I say a paper clip weighs 1 gram. So if you say a regular size paper clip, you walk up to somebody that's supposed to know something. You say, I got a box here with 1,000 regular paper clips in it. If I put those on a scale, how much would they weigh? We'll see. If somebody knew, it would be 2.2 pounds, or it would be a kilogram, right? Now these druggies, they know that a kilo of, you know, whatever, you know what I'm saying? 2.2 pounds and all that. So anyway, what is the, why check the trunk of a used vehicle? To see the general condition of the trunk, see if there's a spare tire, to see if the jack and jack handle are included. Hey, you know, that's just consumer stuff. What's considered to be normal amount of miles driven per year? The normal amount. 12, 15,000 is what we're looking at there. Uneven gaps in the doors or the lift gate are often evidence of what? An accident. Tell you something else, you trade a car in and they ask you if it's been crashed and you say it hadn't and it has, and they get sued, they're gonna come back and sue you. So tell them the truth. Always tell the truth. The truth is your ally. You're typically gonna do a whole lot better than if you lie about stuff. So don't ever do that. Okay, it's also funny too though, you can actually see somebody just bought a car and say, man, I wish I'd known you was buying this car, how come? Can't you see how that don't line up quite right? This thing's been hit, man. Oh man, they start getting all worried about it. You can find something wrong with any car, you know, but don't do that, you know, it's a bad idea. A harsh ride, a harsh ride in a newly delivered vehicle may be due to what? Too much air pressure in the tires. If the tires have got too much air in them, it's going to ride like a Jersey wagon. She just took a wild shot at that one. This is the last question. I'm just going to say, hey, okay? Whoa.
If you put too much air, don't it mess up like the middle of the tire, like the thread?
It will. The middle of the tire will wear out. If it's overinflated, the middle of the tire will wear out, and the ones on the parts of the outside. Overinflation wear them out. Underinflation wears them out. All right, let's go see how Timothy's doing on